Okay, well, this is a special moment to sit down with my elder brother, Stanford Lessons, and want to say thank you to Rob Hicks making this occasion possible. And so we're here just to talk together, and I'm
Schmooze.
smooth. We're going to
We're
do
gonna
some
schmooze.
schmoozing,
Yeah, we're gonna
and
schmooze.
so a little bit about me, but mostly about Stanford. I'm Stanford's little brother, 15 years younger, but uh, grateful to have uh, in a special relationship with my elder brother Stanford, and so this is just an occasion um, to look at the life of Stanford Lessons. So we're going to try to hit some highlights, and we'll just see how things go. Because it's really not a whole lot that's planned. So, but I do have a few questions in mind, Stanford. So in case our audience doesn't know, you and I, we grew up Jewish in a Jewish community. And so I wanted to ask you first what it was like for you to grow up Jewish in a not so Jewish family.
Interesting question, Fred. What was it like? It was kind of like an entree into what I became, not having a Jewish background, really. Having a
Yeah,
father who was kind of agnostic,
right.
and it kind of left me with a clean slate to explore and to delve into different religions and different ways of being, which I've really enjoyed.
But did you feel Jewish growing up? I mean, were all your friends Jewish
Oh
and
yeah,
Jewish community and all
oh
that?
yeah,
So you felt at least, I guess, culturally Jewish, if
absolutely.
nothing else.
Yeah,
You ate some
clearly.
gefilte fish, with
I
chopped
loved it
liver,
and loved it.
and mom was a great Jewish cook, right?
Mom was the best.
Yeah, yeah,
She was the very best.
yeah. We definitely had a quite a cook for a mom.
Mom was the kitchen general.
Right, right. Any favorites you can think of?
Oh well, her matzo ball soup, just incredible. Her pies.
Yes,
Oh God, her pies.
banana cream pie.
Yeah.
How about the chocolate cake with the custard filling?
Oh my. Well, that was almost my downfall. I couldn't get enough of that in my
Right?
mouth.
Wouldn't you eat the whole bowl of custard or something like that? I remember hearing rumors.
Marcia and I used to fight over the bowl of custard.
Okay. Yes, we have a sister too,
Yes, we do.
Marcia.
A really
Yes,
beautiful sister.
yes. So those are some of your Jewish memories growing up.
Well, I remember going over to Israel and Molly's home for the family meetings.
So is
And
that the Singer
the
Link
Singer
thing?
Link,
Yeah,
yeah.
tell us a little about the Singer Link. See, I didn't experience anything because I came around so much later, but that was a whole major era that I hear was pretty amazing. But so tell us a little bit about the Singer Link.
Well, there were a lot of crazy characters in the Singer Link. Um, Mainly that came out of that whole experience of those people came out of our association with our great grandfather, Wolf Singer.
Wolf Singer
Yeah,
from Ukraine, right?
yeah, and Toba
And
was his
Toba, yeah.
wife. And they had this beautiful kind of a commune out in Ellicott City,
Right.
from when they escaped from the Ukraine, when they were threatened being killed the
Right, the
next morning.
pogroms and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pogroms. They came here and settled, and so there's this big family commune here, and that kind of brought everybody together.
So, like, would you get together like how often out there with the extended family? Like once a year or more than that? I mean, I have no idea.
Not a whole lot. It was a long journey from the city to get there.
Right, that was right back then. That was like way out there in the
That
country.
was serious country.
Right.
Yeah. They had cows out there. They grew their own food. I kind of really liked it out there. It was my first real excitement about being in nature
Mm-hmm.
and watching things grow and picking things that were just getting ripe.
Right. Right.
I was just a baby.
So, yeah. So some other, I guess, highlights of your younger years. Um, you obviously I didn't know you back then, but uh, you ran track. You always had the finest cars. You always wore the finest clothes.
Yeah, yes.
You were the
I was a dilettante.
a dilettante.
A dilettante.
Okay, yeah. So tell us a little bit about all that.
Well, I've always liked to emulate or copy people that I admire who dressed really well, who just had a panache about them. So I would I always thought I was like an English gentleman.
Wait, and you were what, 6'2" at what, 11 years old, something like that?
Going on 12, yeah.
Going on 12, you were already 6'2".
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
6'2.5", actually.
6'2.5". Okay, right.
So I kind of grew up fast, and women became very readable, and
Yes, you were quite the ladies' man.
which in itself became a curse.
Right.
Yeah, I just enjoyed the finery of life, the way I looked at it.
So what was your first car?
My first car was Grandpa Israel bought me my first car. It was
Oh, really?
a Chevy convertible Bel Air.
Uh-huh.
Bel Air Chevy convertible, and that was about a 1954, 53.
Okay.
It was blue and white. It was really beautiful. It was a great car.
Now, what was the first car you bought?
First car I bought was a MGA, white with red leather interior. It was a sweet little car. I mean, it drove so beautifully. But that's the first car I bought. And then thereafter I bought two TR3 Triumphs, and then moved on to larger and
Bigger and better.
more powerful, more beautiful, more expensive.
Right.
So I got my Jaguar XKE, which you almost destroyed.
Yes. On my junior prom, I borrowed my brother's XKE.
A 12-cylinder
12-cylinder, yes. And being a junior in high school, I had little regard for the laws. And so I had great fun driving it on the back roads, 90 miles an hour or whatever. But then I went to a party downtown, parked it on the street. And when I came out, somebody backed into it. And I thought that was going to be the end of my life. So if you remember, I didn't tell you in person. I told you on the phone, and you were downtown. I was living in Pikesville. I was convinced I could hear you screaming without the phone.
Oh, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
That was my pride and joy. That car. That was a real racing car.
That was an amazing car.
I mean, a serious racing car. It was beyond even what I could handle.
Yeah. Yeah, that was maybe your ultimate car. Even though you had Porsches and Mercedes
I had
too.
a 911 Porsche supercharged. That was another wild experience. I had no idea what I was buying until I got in it.
Uh-huh.
And started to drive it, and then I went, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. So I didn't have that one very long. I went through cars like women.
Right. Right. Well, how about your experience with track and field?
Track and field was like, that was my claim to fame. I was just naturally fast. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I had no coach, really. I just ran. I never trained, and I never lost. I was unbeaten in all my track meets. Jesse Owens was my idol,
Right.
and he ran the 100-yard dash. He ran the 220, and he did the running broad jump. And I did his 3 events, and my dream was to go to the Olympics.
Huh.
And apparently there were some people who thought I could, especially the coach at the University of Maryland where I got my scholarship. Jim Kehoe, he was a wild, big, tall Marine. And he just had a premonition that I was going to be one of the greatest runners that he would ever coach. But he told me one day up in his coaching room, he said, you're great. You're really a great runner, but you're never going to really be any good until you learn to put your pants on one leg at a time. So he knew me right up front. He knew me that I just wasn't going to do the work. I just wanted to play.
Right.
So I destroyed my career track-wise and my dreams of ever going to the Olympics. I mean, that's...
But you were state champion, is that right?
I was state champion for many years.
In
Held all
what
kinds
event?
of records.
Which event?
In the 100, the 220, and the running broad jump.
Oh, all 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I was unbeaten in all 3 events.
We should have. I still can see there's a black and white photograph of you winning one of those races. Should have brought it so we could show the audience, but maybe another time. It's a great picture.
The guy who took it won an award.
Oh yeah.
For sports photography.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that was your first claim to fame. So you went on from there. You worked at Commerce, which was our father's and uncles and cousins' business, whatever.
Family business.
Commerce Distributors, and that was for a season. But then you went on to start your own businesses. Want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, after a disastrous time of working for family,
yeah,
I finally decided I had to break out on my own. And I was in the midst of a human disaster that was going on in my life with what I had been up to. And I had to run away to California to hide out. And I saw what was going on in the natural food field out there while I was visiting, and there were supermarkets. And I said, I'd like to go back to Baltimore and open up a natural food market. I think it'd be an opportune time to do that. And I came back to Baltimore and back into the Mount Vernon area where I lived, and found a beautiful little spot in a Victorian house in the basement. And I rented that and started the first natural food market in downtown Baltimore.
What was it called?
The Green Earth.
Green Earth.
And then I built a full-scale restaurant, which was called the Green Earth Cafe.
Right.
And those were my 2 big opening shots.
Right. Yeah, they were impressive businesses. Yes.
Oh, they were great. The restaurant was famous. Al Pacino used to come and eat there. In fact, when he was filming in Baltimore, he came to me one evening after having dinner. He said, "Look, I don't like looking around to find different places to eat." He says, "I just want to come back here and eat and be left alone. I like to sit over here in the right-hand corner, right over here by the bar, and you just tell all your people not to come and chat with me and just leave me peaceably, and I'll take good care of them. Yeah.
Very cool.
And the place got very famous. There was lines down the street,
Wow.
to get in.
This is all before the Inner Harbor got built up, right?
Well, as soon as Inner Harbor opened up, we all fell into disrepair in the area.
Mm.
I mean, the business bottomed out.
Wow.
Yeah, as soon as the harbor opened up.
Yeah.
So we were all suffering up on Charles Street.
And then to add insult to misery, I guess your restaurant caught on fire
Yes, did.
and spread upstairs to the store.
Spread upstairs and burned me out. And yeah, that was a sorrowful moment.
But you recouped and started another business, right?
Yeah, I sure did. Up on the Reed Street, which was like the Haight-Ashbury of
Baltimore. Yeah.
Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah. And I had this little funky store, I mean, $12 was the first day we did business.
Right.
So it was kind of a struggle, but I just watched it grow.
Then you moved from there to Charles Street. Is that right?
I opened up another store on Charles Street. I actually had 3 stores on Charles Street at one time.
3. Huh.
I had an herb store and a New Age store, what they call New Age. Beautiful store.
And then your last store was on. Remind me, I forgot. Not Fells Point. Where was it?
On Boston Street.
Boston Street. Right.
Yeah, that was I was looking for that to be the epitome of all my stores, because it was in the old can company.
Right.
And I knew that area was going to be like the hottest area in Baltimore. And but unfortunately, it didn't pan out that way in the beginning, because the stores that were involved at the can company, one was a big bookstore, which was one of the cornerstones, and then Spike and Charlie's had a big restaurant there. And both of them failed almost right after we opened.
Huh.
And the whole center just crashed.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yeah.
What was the name of the store?
Touch the Earth.
Oh, it's Touch the Earth. Right. Okay.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I've been looking at nothing but losing and losing and losing money till I was just totally bankrupt.
So I guess that's a segue to what I call your dark night of the soul. You went through several years where you were just, experimenting,
I sunk into oblivion in the drug world.
Right.
I didn't want to wake up from that. Yeah, I was just.
And didn't you almost go to jail?
I sure did almost go to jail. That was a horror story. Yeah, I was, at that time, I was arrested by the DEA, and I was facing 30 years in a federal penitentiary.
Wow.
And
yeah, I have a vague recollection. I was still kind of young when all that was going on, so I knew you were going through some really difficult times, but I wasn't fully aware of all that was happening.
I'm glad you weren't a part of any of that.
Yeah. I'm just glad you didn't go to jail, prison.
Believe me, I was real close. Real close.
But maybe, but it seems to me, kind of when I reflect back on your life, it seems to me that all that you went through prompted a search for
exploration,
a search for meaning, purpose, identity, truth. So
Absolutely.
you became quite a seeker. And I mean, I think you've always had a spiritual bent, but you actively became a seeker.
Yeah, absolutely. I went and took trainings.
Right, right,
I met a man named Werner Erhard who started the movement of Est,
right.
and that was very instrumental for me. Also, my delving into the Native American history and working in the spiritual way the Native Americans do, with Sweat Lodge and
Right.
just searching, my man, just searching. That's a great old song called "Searching." I'm searching every which way.
Yes, yes. Yes, I was keeping track of you during all those years.
Yeah, I sure did lose track of you.
You did? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, for the sake of our audience, being 15 years apart in age, we really didn't know each other. And it wasn't until I think my sophomore year of college, I lost my place to live, and I had to move in with you. You were living down on Rudder Street behind Maryland Institute.
Great house in Rudder Street.
And I moved in for the summer, and we found some common ground.
Yes, we did. I think we even tripped out together.
I think so. Yeah. We did some crazy stuff, and we became. We basically started getting to know each other because we just really didn't know each other.
I finally found my brother.
Right. But then I became a believer. I had my own spiritual awakening around that time, and a little after that time, and then that kind of didn't. That sort of put a little of a wedge, I guess, for a number of years.
Not with me, but with mom and dad. There was kind of like a kibosh.
Yeah. I became kind of. We switched places. Instead of you being the black sheep, I became the black sheep.
You became the outsider, and I became more
right
inwardly.
Right. So those years went on for a good while. Just kind of, you essentially retired after it touched the earth. After that business ceased to exist, right? You kind of really didn't really work, right?
After that time? I haven't done a lot of work in my life. I probably continued dealing drugs. I'm pretty sure I did, because that's how I got all my money. But I don't want this to go out on the news.
Right. Well, the good news is that all that's behind you, but it did come to a crisis point in your life, and it wasn't that long ago. It's probably about 4 years ago, or so.
September the 7th.
September
2017.
September 2017. Things came to a head.
I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
I woke up one morning living in that beautiful apartment over University Parkway.
Across from Johns Hopkins.
Yeah. And I just said, this has got to be my last day here, because I got this appointment with my brother and sister to go talk to someone a friend knows about going to a rehab, and I'm not doing that.
Well, it was an outpatient.
Whatever it was. I wasn't going to do that.
Right.
So I just, I got up and made breakfast and tidied my apartment up and took some nice photographs and set them on the nice little table that I've got. And I lay down on my sofa and I drank this cocktail that I made up, which was a morphine cocktail. And I said, I'm out of here. And I drank it down. And then I woke up in a hospital when you and my sister were sitting there next to me.
Right. And I was scared you were going to yell at me.
Yeah, because I made you promise me that you would never interfere with my suicide.
But I did.
Yes,
and I was genuinely afraid that when he woke up, he would be angry at me. but he wasn't.
No. Actually, when I opened my eyes, I was glad to be back. I wanted to start fresh.
And for the sake of our audience, it's just to fill in a little bit of the blanks. It was a miracle in more ways than one, because as Stanford just mentioned, Stanford, you said you were going to go to the outpatient clinic. Marcia, our sister, was going to take you, and I was assuming she took you. When I called Marcia that morning to ask her how it went, she said, "I didn't take him." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, no, Stanford said he's a big boy. He can go on his own." So she was under the impression that you went on your own. So I figured, well, I guess he did.
I had no intention of showing her.
Right. So I started calling you later that day, and I was getting no answer on your phone. And I called, and I told Marcia, and she called, and getting no answer. And by 4:00 that same day, I was starting to get really, really nervous. So I called your apartment office, and they were closed.
Yeah.
So I called the 24/7 line, and I said, I need to speak to a manager. I think something awful has happened. So she called me back 10, 15 minutes later, said she contacted the manager. Then he called me and said he was just finishing dinner, but he would get over right away. I said, please hurry. He goes over there. He calls me up. He says, your brother is lying on the couch and he's barely breathing. What should I do? And I'm hearing your voice, Stanford. Do not interfere. Do not do anything. And I actually froze for a second. I thought, well, should I call 911 or not? And then I decided, no, I have to. And I did. And they literally got there. I think they told us 5 more minutes and you would have been gone.
Yeah, that's what they said.
So they Narcan you and
Narcan and a chest compression and whatever they had to do to bring me out of that death spiral.
Right. So you wound up in the intensive care for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I wound up at St. Jude's Hospital.
No, well, after the hospital, after you were released from the hospital, you went to Shepherd Pratt for 2 weeks.
I went to Shepherd Pratt for detoxification.
Right. Yeah, detox. Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty far out. Nice place, good people. Conscious, caring people took care of me. I was locked down in a psych ward.
Right. And then from there, you went to a 30-day rehab in Georgia, which you weren't crazy about going to.
Turning point. But it was a turning point in my life.
Well, what happened?
Well, as well you know, because I called you screaming with the first night.
Right, get me out of this snake pit now.
Get me out of here now. I can't stand it here. This filthy, dirty, rotten, stinking place. And there's nothing but crazy people around. Little did I know I was one of them.
Right. So what happened?
Well,
what was the turning point?
The turning point was I was so despondent down there after you wouldn't
get you out.
Yeah, you wouldn't get me out of there. I noticed that they had a lake there. And I said, I think I'm going to take a walk down to the lake. So I walked on down to the lake, and the water looked very tempting in terms of maybe I could jump in there and drown myself and rid myself of this journey that I'm on. And I was standing next to the edge of the water and the land, and I was holding onto this like little sapling tree. And I decided I'm going to jump in. And then a voice spoke to me in my ear. And it said, you don't have to do that. And I said, who's that talking to me?
Guess who?
So I just kind of felt,
Like a letting go.
I had all this emotion going on for me right then. And so I decided I'm not jumping in the water. I can't swim anyway. So, and when I did that, the voice said to me, now why don't you go back on into the work that you were doing before you came out here with your counselor and the group that you were working with. And I said, ah. So I walked up the hill, went back in there, and when I walked through the door to the session room, the counselor is sitting there. He looked up and he said to me, you look different. What happened to you? I said, well, I really got a message that I have to give up. I have to give up my position of not wanting to and do the work that I'm here to do, which is to get well and to get off my considerations. So I sat down and started participating and sharing myself and feeling grateful for having this place to be in.
So your whole attitude changed.
Yeah, totally. Totally changed.
Yeah. It's interesting because that same day that you had, you were standing by the lake and considering suicide again, because you can't, right, as you said, you can't swim. If you're going to go in the lake, it was for the purpose of drowning, right? Right. Well, that same day, I don't remember that fact. I think I told you this, but that same day, I was like inwardly prompted to really pray for you. And I was praying like hard. And I was specifically praying that you would let go. You would give up control. You would just let go. And just hearing your description of what happened, I think that's really what happened. You surrendered rather than holding on to.
Absolutely. I totally surrendered.
Yeah.
I gave up, which is what you have to do in the tenets of working with the 12-step program.
Right.
You just have to let go, embrace God, embrace
Right.
the Lord.
Right.
And ask for forgiveness.
Yes. And you did it.
Yep. I sure did.
Well, I think from my observation, that was really was a turning point. And observing you the last few years, I can genuinely say you're a different person. Your life has changed. You're just, there's just a whole different demeanor about you. You're authentic now. One of the things I used to bother me about you in your older days was that you were not an authentic person. It was so clear to me you were trying to be something that you weren't, and you weren't comfortable being Stanford Lessons.
No, I wasn't. Not ever. That's why I needed all those cars and
right,
those
women.
I just was never content with me. So I wanted to be somebody else.
Right. And so you created this kind of alter ego. Yes, a persona. And it just wasn't the real you. But now you're the real deal. You are the real you. And
I'm working. It's a day-to-day process.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course it is. But before we end this conversation, something has happened. Well, a couple things happened, but one other amazing thing that's happened recently was what we call our angel story. So, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah. You and I were, of course, out hiking in Patapsco State.
And this is what, a month ago?
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a gorgeous day like today, basically. And I was feeling real good. And we were walking, and we came to this ravine, and there was water running through it. And you were in front of me, and you kind of hopped over the rocks and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, well, it looks pretty cool. My brother just did that. But when I stepped out on the first rock, I just felt, unusually for me, I felt very tenuous about it. I just didn't feel comfortable at all. And my legs locked and they started shaking. And I said to you, Fred, I'm frozen. I said, I can't move. And you were graciously moving rocks around, trying to make a path for me to
build a bridge.
To build a bridge, yeah. And so not wanting you to think that I was not able to do what you did.
Even though you're 86 years old.
Even though I'm 86, yeah. You know, my ego is still
functioning
highly. I put my foot out on this rock, and my foot slipped, and I just wound up in the air, falling straight headfirst down into the stream,
which is filled with rocks.
And I given what I saw as I was falling, I knew I was going to be in a lot of trouble. So I did what was necessary to protect myself. I buried my head into my crook of my arm and took the blow, you know. And I knew from the moment that I hit the water and hit the rocks that I was okay. I was fine.
So you thought?
I was going to come out of this fine.
Uh-huh.
And back to you.
Right, as I said, so he thought, but so I helped him get out of the stream, and got him to sit down on a stump right next to the stream. And it's true, yeah, right. And initially, I thought, hey, man, this is amazing. He escaped real possible injury. If you would have hit your head, and which easily could have happened, you would have been toast.
I'd have split my head.
You've been over. Open. Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, wow, this is amazing. He got through this unscathed. But within in the next few minutes, you started literally sinking, slouching down and down and down, and your eyes closed, and you got pale, and I'm like, Stanford, I'm shaking you, Stanford, and you're like non-responsive, and I'm starting to like,
I don't remember.
Yeah, you're out of it. You're completely out of it, and I'm like starting to panic, like freak out, like, oh my God, is he dying? And I'm thinking, like, if you can't die, because number one, I love you and I want you to. Number two, I'm going to blame myself if you do, because I should never have let you cross that stream. So I'm like freaking out. I'm flipped out. All of a sudden, I look up, and this woman, middle-aged woman, kind of shows up out of nowhere.
I think she was middle-aged. She seemed younger than middle-aged.
Well, I don't know, not middle-aged, whatever, 40s, 30s, I'm not sure. And she goes, is everything okay? And I said, no. And she comes over and she sees you and she lets me, she said, well, I'm a retired EMT. I said, wonderful, great. Help, whatever you can do, please help. So she's testing you, Stanford. She's like pointing on you. She's trying to get you to become responsive, and you weren't becoming responsive. So she said, call 911. And that's like, I went, oh my God, because I was thinking that she was going to get you out of this. So when she said call 911, I thought, this is serious. Well, we're in the middle of this ravine, and thankfully I had my cell phone, which I only decided to take at the last second. But service it was amazing we had any service at all. So I called 911, and it's a horrible connection, but they could hear me. But because of where we were, they couldn't find us. So you're not aware of this, but it took them, I would say, at least 45 minutes to an hour to find us. So the whole time we were waiting, I'm on the phone with 911. They stuck with me on the phone, trying to figure out where we are. I'm showing them, I'm telling them what the names of the trails are, blah, blah, blah. And all that time, she's trying to revive you. And I'm, my hands on you, I'm praying for you. And it didn't look like you were breathing. I mean, it was, but she's checking your pulse, and you had a pulse, but it was faint. Anyhow, they finally came. They took you away. They were going to bring you back you didn't know this, but they were going to bring you back on a four-wheeler, but the four-wheeler flipped over on the trail. So they had to carry you back on a stretcher. And
that was uncomfortable. That really was uncomfortable.
But amazing the amazing when they first got you, they put an oxygen mask on you, and that's when you began to start to revive. By the time they got you all the way up the mountain, you were pretty much revived, but they still insisted on taking you to the hospital. Anyhow, all that to say, oh yeah, and then this woman who stuck with us the whole time, once they took you away, she said, "Well, I think I can go now." And then she said to me, "Are you okay?" And when she said that, I lost it. I guess all this pent up emotion it was a cathartic moment, and I literally burst out crying. I was so touched by her concern, not only for you but for me. And she just laid her hands on me until I calmed down. And then she said, "You're going to be okay."
She was my guardian angel.
And she left. And she disappeared up the hill. And, it's one of these crazy things where I thought, I think, the Bible tells us that to show hospitality to strangers because we may be entertaining an angel unawares.
Well, I was being entertained.
And I honestly believe that she was an angel sent to help us.
As well.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was amazing moment in time.
I'm so grateful to all the people involved, all the workers, the EMT people, the hospital people. I mean, it was an amazing journey. When I became conscious and I was looking, it seemed as if there were hundreds of people around.
It was unbelievable. I never saw more ambulances, fire engines, vehicle. It was just extraordinary. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, when I saw that big, huge...
Helicopters.
When I saw the first big, huge ambulance at the top of the hill, I said to the guys, I'm not getting in that ambulance. And I'm not going to the hospital. Until this one big dude looked at me and said, "Yes, you are."
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah.
I didn't want any parts to go into a hospital. I wanted to walk out of there.
Right, of course. You're not big on hospitals.
No.
So, God has been good to you, Stanford, and I think what's so pertinent is that you realize that God loves you, and He's been, even when you weren't aware of it, He's been close to you and intimately involved with getting you through issue after issue, crisis after crisis, and bringing you to this point in your life. Whereas I said earlier, you are a different person. So, but as we conclude this interview, I guess I would like to hear from you how you feel like you're different as a result of what's happened in these last couple of years, your experience, like we haven't talked about, but your experience with Yeshua, Jesus, and how that's affected you. I mean, how are you a different person as a result of that?
Well, as I've watched and explored these past many years, having you as a mentor has been so dear to me. I mean, you've shown me how how I can become another person a different person. You've shown me which way to reach out, and I'm more than grateful to you, my brother. But I am a different person now. All those experiences led me to put my life in the hands of the Lord.
Yeah.
When I gave up, I gave up.
Yes.
I gave up knowing that I was not in control of my life.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Surrendering, giving over control. So we're no longer the master. We let him be
Absolutely.
the master.
He is my
The one
master.
who's in charge. Because
Yeshua is my master.
yes, our teacher,
He is
our
my
Lord.
ultimate teacher.
Yes.
What I've been searching for.
Yes.
And I don't have to disregard any of the other ways that I've found.
All those are stepping
No,
stones.
They all work.
Yes.
They all work, you know.
Yes, I agree. I look back on my spiritual journey, and before I had my encounter with Yeshua, Jesus, tried a lot of things, but I see them as stepping stones because Jesus says, "If you seek, you shall find," and he honors our seeking and our searching. And I believe, and I think you do as well now, that if we genuinely seek and search for the truth, we'll ultimately find him. Will ultimately lead us to him because he is the truth, the way, the truth, and the life.
The truth is, that's where it's
Yes.
at. The truth is the truth.
Yes. Amen. Right? I guess we could say, Stanford, certainly I can say, I'm just so appreciative for you. I thank God every day for my brother Stanford. You're a blessing, and I'll say it again. You're guaranteed to, in my opinion, to stick around for at least another 14 years. So come on, why not? 100's a good year.
Wow. Okay. I'll take care of that.
Yes, we're gonna try to make it happen together.
Just watch out for the rocks.
Yeah, watch out for the rocks. Yeah, no more jumping rocks on streams. So, well, thank you, my brother. Thank you for taking the time to share your life, share your heart. And I believe whoever watches this will be blessed by this conversation we've had together.
Well, I'm truly blessed. Thank you.
Amen. All righty. Amen.
Amen.